all for being a part of the Logistics Tech Conference. Without further ado, it is my pleasure to introduce you to our keynote speaker, Mr. Umesh Revankar, CEO and MD, Shriram Transport Finance Company Limited. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you. First of all, thank you for inviting me to this. We are in financing of commercial vehicles for quite a long time, for 4 decades now. And my experience in this business of lending is 3 decades, over 3 decades. As the subject says, how in India logistics is playing around and what is the scope for this industry to grow. As you know very well, this industry is fragmented. It is not really organized the way it should be. But what we can make it, how we can make it more organized, whether we need to make some changes, whether we can do something little different, or we should be thinking totally differently, is something which I'll just try to, whatever knowledge I have, by seeing, observing, reading, and talking to the customers of mine, whatever little ideas I have, I will just share it with you. The 3 things which I would like to broadly speak. One is building efficiency, how we can build efficiency into the system, and making logistics cost effective. Why it need to be cost effective? Because when you make something cost effective, then there is more buyers, there are more takers, and probably you can make it a global size. And the third one is making India a hub. Because if at all you want to succeed in manufacturing, then you have to have all the aspects of manufacturing, all the cost inputs in manufacturing, the best in the world. Then only you can play a major role in manufacturing. Make in India or Atmanirbhar can be successful only when all input costs come down substantially to the world standard. Let me first quote a recent article which has come about, and Arthur D. Little along with CII. There is a report. Report suggests that the logistics cost in India is US $400 billion. And as a percentage of GDP, it is 14% of the GDP. And world over, average is around 8%. That means we are around 6% more in logistics cost. And that is around 180 crores of additional cost or an opportunity to address this cost. So we can play a role in addressing this gap of 180 billion US dollar. And as the GDP grows larger and larger, this gap will increase unless there is an effort to address this issue and we come with some kind of a solution. This gap will only increase, size will only increase. So I look at this as an opportunity for people to get in and address this issue. And maybe, yes, for the manufacturing segment, people who are in the supply chain, it is a cost which need to be reduced. Now, if you look at a certain industry which are really moving fast in India right now, one is food, especially in the cold storage, and the second one is the healthcare. Because of the COVID, there is heightened increase or awareness on the healthcare and the pharma industry. These 2 industries requires a huge chain of cold storage, and the likely growth in this segment could be around 20%. And there's a huge opportunity which we cannot miss. Then another big opportunity is for 3PL and 4PL players. I feel more and more manufacturing companies would like to focus on their core activity. They do not want having a department or a separate team to handle the movement of their cargo or the inventory. So definitely 3PL and 4PL players are going to play a very, very important role in addressing and giving a solution to the inventory movement, and also tracking the movement of this, so that efficiently it reaches the market or it reaches the factory, whichever way it moves. The other one that's most important, what I feel is the road transport need to become more affordable. Right now, it is expensive only because the turnaround time is higher. Turnaround time today is runs around 250 to 300 kilometers per day, which should be ideally near 750 to 800, because in Europe, the vehicle travels around 1000 kilometers a day. US, it travels around 900 kilometers a day. Looking at Indian condition, it can be 750 to 800, but it cannot be as low as 250, 300. And also a lot of delay in uh, loading, unloading because of certain kind of transportation method which we use. The next one is, which I feel is very important, is standardization. Why standardization is important is most of the goods across, most of the transportation across the globe goes in a proper standardized containers or standardized packages, which is easy to handle, which is easy to move by in mechanical method. Otherwise, you need to involve human being labor, which increases the cost, and also it increases the chances of breakage. So we in India, the container movements are restricted. It's only for few large players. But generally, there is not much of standardization in packaging or the containers or the items that move. So some kind of a global standardization, if we follow, the possibilities of increasing the efficiency are much higher. One is multimodal or intermodal transportation. What happens is when you use multiple mode of transportation, you can become very efficient. Cost can really come down. You can use river, waterways, you can use railway, you can use ship, you can use air. All modes of transportation can be used seamlessly to reach to a particular destination. And that creates a efficiency in the system. That helps also in tracking, a proper tracking of the goods that are moved from one place to another place. And you can really bring down the inventory cost substantially. If you are keeping additional 1 or 2 months inventory because there is some unknown delay, then automatically the cost, manufacturing cost goes up, and that will definitely have a negative impact on our ability to manufacture something and export and really make a presence in the world. So I feel standardization is a very much important for the faster movement, plus reducing the wear and tear and cost. The fifth one is, which I feel is important, is hub and spoke model. We have been talking about it. We have been talking about hub and spoke model for quite a long time. But still, in India, it is not fully established. A proper hub and spoke model, even after the octroi going, or even after the GST coming in, we expected the hub and spoke model to play. And of course, there is an improvement. There is an improvement, but the improvement is very slow. Could be because the economy slowed down. It has moved slowly, but we have to really think about it and work on that, because I feel the efficient movement of the goods through hub and spoke, larger vehicle carrying for bigger, longer distance than smaller vehicle distributing it to the smaller towns, then making it last mile reach. All those things need some kind of connected working with the warehouse and also with the various operators. And these operators and the warehousing and redistribution has to become seamless. And that should really help in bringing down the time taken or the distance covered. You can really reach longer distance or faster if at all you have a proper hub and spoke and redistribution model, and that will definitely have a bearing. The next one is, if we expect more money to come into this segment, then we also have to play with some global standards. Well, today everyone is talking about green energy or using alternative fuels. So that has to come in, because if tomorrow somebody is investing in logistics, somebody wants to build something in the logistics, most of the money that is likely to come in is for improvement in efficiency, improvement in the environment, improvement in the governance. So ESG funds, which are growing and which are really large today, which is now playing very significant role. If that money has to come into the logistics, then we need to have a clear plan. The government of India is initiating a lot of a program through FAME 2 for electrical vehicles. But in the goods movement, the movement has been very slow. Look at CNG. It has taken more than 20-25 years for really having CNG stations, gas stations across the country. Only few stretches the CNG is available. So now we are talking about the mixing of fuel with ethanol. That also is taking a longer time than what we expected. If some countries have achieved 20% mixture, then why we are not even at 10? I think we have reached to 10 only in petrol and diesel. We have a plan for 2030. So this kind of investment or this kind of a change in technology or the caring the environment is very important for attracting money into Indian logistics system. And every player in the logistics system have to work on a target to make this happen. So even though it may be a little more expensive to start with, but more money will flow in, it will bring down the cost for all the operators. And I think we should all think about it and actively participate in this kind of a change. The other one, which I feel quite important in my perspective, because we are into financing, is the Carrier Act. Carrier Act 2007. Then a Carrier Road rules came in 2011, where all the agents, brokers, transport companies, intermediaries were supposed to get registered, and they're supposed to have a proper record of all the goods that has been moving. And that is not implemented fully, or not implemented at all, I should say, because none of them were keen in being part of it, because then they take the responsibility of any kind of a goods not being reaching in time, any damage. Today, everything onus is on the transporter or the truck operator for any kind of damage, and most of the time the payment gets withheld for him, even if when the goods reaching in time. Around 5 to 7% is withheld for any kind of damage, likely damage. So that is the situation. So moment you withheld, then the cost of operation goes up, then cost of transportation goes up. So, and also at every level of transportation, funding is not possible. The goods, no, whatever the bill you give by the transporting company, it is not a bill today. It is not organized finance companies cannot lend against that, because it is not enforceable legally, because they are not registered and they don't have authorization. So therefore, what happens is funding for the transportation, because if at all I have to fund a bill of transporting from one end to another end. And I can't, since it is not enforceable by law, I can't fund against that particular bill and hold the person who has given the issued the bill responsible. I can only hold against the truck operator. So that becomes the efficiency. We can't. The efficiency of financing comes down. Today, all the people who are lending against this kind of transportation is unorganized sector. There will be some money lender who will be giving some for advance, some money lender who will be giving against the bill. So when the money lender or the unorganized sector gives lending, then the cost is bound to be very high. Apart from the withholding the portion of the bill, the cost of financing also is equally high. So we can play, organized players can play a much bigger role if this Carriers Act and the rules, road rules, which came in 2011, is implemented on all the players participate into this. And this also helps in building efficiency because all the goods that move would be trackable, traceable, and we can build in efficiency with that. The other things which I would like to uh, talk about is any industry, if you're told it has to become global, then you need to have global vision. We cannot be thinking of the logistic industry in India and what we can do, how can we improve. We should have a global plan. Now, the logistic movement or the total revenue generated through the global logistic business is around 3,000 billion. So if India can play a role, because there are two ways we can play a role. One thing is, most important is geographically, we are well positioned between east and west, or east and Middle East, and then of course the west. We have a very large sea coast. We have very important ports across both sides of the coast. Where there's Tuticorin, Chennai, Krishnapatnam, then Visakhapatnam, then you have Kolkata, Haldia. So, in the eastern and western side, we have right from Kandla, Mumbai, Mangalore, Kochi. We have very important port, and we can really play that role the way today Singapore has gained such a great importance because of that, such a tiny island, and we can be both part of transshipment between in the global hub, or we can also be play a role in the cargo in transit, so that it can go via even land from across the India to the other countries, either to the west side or east side. That is another possibility. So we can build a global size business in India if at all we have all infrastructure, facility, and financing available. So this is something which I feel we can do very well because we have required manpower, we have a skill, and we also have recently been investing a reasonably large sum in the technology part of it. One is the bridging the gap of 180 billion, which I told in the beginning, and the second one is being part of the a global hub, which will give India a great status, and maybe we can play a very important role. Now, finally, one thing everyone keeps talking about is how fragmented Indian business is, and therefore we cannot really achieve anything global size. I personally believe that having a fragmented ownership of vehicle or transport system is not deterrent, and it can be an advantage. Why it is not deterrent? if you look at the way the trucking ownership is, around 70% of the ownership is with individual or with the small road operators and family-run business. Most of them are family-run business, and they have been doing it very efficiently. What they lack is they lack the contact. They need intermediaries, and they are dependent on some of the brokers, which I'm not saying we need to eliminate. We need to strengthen it by giving a technology platform to them. What happened to Indian taxis today with Ola and Uber both coming in? Because I have observed that when initially Uber came in, people with large fleet, they moved into Uber first with 25, 30 vehicle with the driver and all. They moved first. But individual also moved as maybe they have taken the low-end vehicle and they moved. But people who succeeded were the individuals. The large operators who moved into Uber, they could not sustain, they could not manage. Because cost of operation by having a driver and additional maintenance costs, it did not make the business successful. But individuals who moved, who operated their vehicle and whom you need not pay salary, they really reduced the cost and made that business more viable. And also maintenance was better. And his family was willing to support him. So today, if you look at Ola and Uber, all individuals who are operating that business, they have been successful. And large operators have gone out. And even Ola, Uber, they themselves owned large number of fleet that did not succeed. Today, they are selling everything. And now they're focusing on individual operators. Individuals with high efficiency and with a lot of involvement, engagement, with the support of technology, can be as good as large corporate. And he can build efficiency and he has that flexibility to move. So in Indian condition, I feel technology already, some papers say that nearly 500 million US dollars have been raised by various technology platforms to give solutions. And they have been working in various places. But it has been more localized. It is yet to become interstate or the intercity kind of activity. It is more of a local, intracity kind of activity. They're yet to get that kind of gain. And I feel it will happen. More investment coming into that, it will definitely make it more viable and it will be highly successful. So we need not be really worried about the fragmented way the ownership of the trucks or any other transportation mode is being held. What we should be focused on how to bring technology and reduce the intermediation cost or the inefficiency part of it, because it is not just the intermediation that is a problem. It is the inefficiency that's come along with that is the problem. So a proper tracking, proper tracing, intermodal, multimodal, standardized containers, all those things will definitely make India great global hub. And what we need is technology playing very important role in giving the best return for the individuals who invest on vehicles to make their living. So this is my understanding, and this is how I feel a better solution can be found in the given condition in India. And more, if at all any question is there, I can answer with my experience.
Thank you so much, sir, for such wonderful insights. I think you covered a lot of different aspects in the whole supply chain, and specifically after the whole COVID scenario and the pandemic coming in picture, how the different businesses should take forward. One question which we've received from the audience is how do businesses should go about onboarding, like the two-tier and three-tier cities on the technology platform? I mean, as you mentioned, with new technology solutions coming in, so what's few key takeaways which businesses and MSMEs also can take forward?
Yeah, I think it's a very good question. The one thing which I really have to presented here is the way e-commerce has grown. Nobody expected e-commerce to go into tier 2, tier 3 cities. Everybody felt that it will be more of a metro and a tier 1 phenomena. But last 1 year in the COVID, it has moved in. It has built an efficiency. Everybody is now making a purchase in the tier 2, tier 3, maybe even tier 4 cities. So I think the answer is yes, if there is a support, technology support for these players. I think even MSMEs can take a big advantage of this technology support. And the platform players are very important. Platform will onboard these all individual entrepreneurs and individuals for making their business more efficient. I think tier 2, 3, 4 towns will very easily get in, and we need to look at e-commerce. Of course, e-commerce with Flipkart and Amazon coming in, putting huge sum of amount that cannot be equivalent to the other platforms, but still we can build something out of it is what I feel.
Great, sir. One last question. I think you discussed about how Singapore is very much evolved in terms of supply chain. If India has to take forward like 1 or 2 major takeaways from the way Singapore has, evolved, what would be that? And something which Indian supply chain can also adopt.
I think you see in the southern part of India, which is almost near the global route of ship movement. Today, China has invested a large sum, one of the port in Sri Lanka to make a global hub. We can definitely play that role, and one of the port like Cochin or maybe Tuticorin, which is in the bottom, they can definitely attract a lot of investment. Maybe a privatization of, or maybe the India tying up with some global player to make that happen can definitely change the way things are moving. Once one part of it succeeds, then it can move up, because once it succeeds in Cochin for a transshipment or a transit cargo, then it can move into play like Kandla or Bombay, and the goods can move through land to across the country to maybe Bangladesh or maybe China. So this is something, it has been visualized in the past, and the highways crisscrossing, Asian highway crisscrossing India is something that has been visualized in the past, but it has to we have to make it happen. And I feel maybe government giving some kind of a assurance on the infrastructure will definitely make this will happen.
We really hope it happens soon. I think it will benefit the entire nation and also the economy. Thank you so much, sir, for such an insightful discussion. Thank you once again. We would like to also thank our partners. Our title partner, Here Technologies, powered by partner Panda Corporation, brought to you by partner Grey Orange, supported by Logistics Skill Council. Our registration partner, MapMyIndia, CX partner Zendesk, session partner Shiplight, silver partner Fretron, knowledge partner Supply Chain Labs, and industry partner PhD Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Thank you so much, sir, once again. We also like to thank our audience for putting out such interesting questions. Thank you so much, everyone, and stay safe.
Yeah, thank you.